2019 wasn't my biggest year of travel adventures, but it still came with its own shares of ups and downs, which is what we're going to cover in this video, because this is my best and worst travel moments of 2019. It's probably one of my favorite videos that I do on this channel. It's like the start of my end of year series. It's pretty fun. Also, I hope you guys appreciate my Merry Catmas sweater. This is the only video you will ever see it in. So if you're new here and you aren't subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, because I have awesome new travels coming up in 2020, or you can go back and rewatch all of my 2019 travels or beyond. There's a lot. Best. This is good. I mean, sleeping with wolves in Park Omega in Ottawa. Literally, guys, we slept with wolves. Probably the coolest combination I've ever stayed at. So these were these brand new cabins that were built surrounding a wolf enclosure where there was a pack of wolves that lived there, like real wolves. The back side of the cabin was actually just a big glass window. There was like an inside part, then there was an outside part, and our beds just like looked out. They were like beds, glass, wolves. Now, the wolf's den is pretty big, so like there were parts and like you could see the wolves, I would say almost all of the time that we were there, but a lot of times they were like in the back, like sleeping or whatnot. But I think the craziest moment was when they started like howling. Guys, I don't know what's going on. But the wolves would just like come right up to the cabin and just be like, yo, who are you? Come say hi. And then the cutest thing was when Matt, you were playing with a wolf, weren't you? So like this wolf, it's like a big grown puppy dog. We just started like playing games. Nighttime was the craziest, so we were like sleeping, and you could hear them like howling, and when one started howling, all of the wolves started howling, and it was just this big symphony of wolves that was scary because, you know, they're wolves, but also amazing at the same time. There was also like boardwalks and trails that you could like walk on to go see the wolves like outside of your cabin, and then there were bears in the enclosure and wolf puppies. There was wolf puppies there. The wolf cabins themselves were part of a larger park, which is called Park Omega, and it is a Canadian safari. So imagine like the African safaris where you see like elephants and lions and tigers. Well, on the Canadian safari, you see like moose and deer and wolves and bears, and they would have like these deers, like in some of the animals, like the deer, you could like feed them right out of your car. Worst. At this same accommodation, so Matt had set up our like big zoom lens that we brought with us with our main camera up on a tripod to try and capture the wolves howling in unison and get some cool shots of it. But unfortunately, the lens itself was just too heavy, wasn't it? Right, we don't really sure.
Wine involved.
There was wine involved. Either way, the camera that was sitting on the tripod tipped over and smashed onto the concrete. And we broke our main filming camera. So that was the Sony A7S Mark II. That's the camera I've been using since.
I actually don't know if this camera is gonna work anymore.
Are you serious? It was this camera here. Yeah, because it kind of like, it landed on its side like that, and it smashed open the housing here, and then all the buttons stopped working. And we could still kind of record for a little bit, but then we couldn't play it back, and then we could take photos for a tiny bit, and then the shutter stopped working, which was the worst possible timing because it was the start of our whole summer of travels, which we had planned. So we had all of our US travels that we were going to be doing. So we ended up having to send our main camera in for repair. We ended up having to buy a brand new camera, our second camera that we had to buy this year, because we just replaced our vlog camera at the beginning of the year in March, and now it's June, and we're having to buy another camera. 2 cameras in 1 year is a lot, guys. Like, cameras are expensive. Although we were really enjoying the new camera that we have, so all good things work out, I guess, in the end. Best. Going back to Singapore, one of the first places I traveled to in 2010, and revisiting the sites that I saw and to see like the changes of Singapore in the last 9 years. If you saw the video, you would have seen the difference between, well, in just 9 years, how much Singapore's changed. But it was really cool as a trip, just like personally, to go back and experience these things that were like, so I'd moved to New Zealand and this was my first trip outside of New Zealand to go travel around Asia, and we started in Singapore, and it was just, I love Singapore. I just love Singapore as a city. I finally got to see Gardens by the Bay, which was finished, which was under construction when I went there the first time, and then we got to see it, and it's just amazing. Like, Gardens by the Bay it's so cool. It's just a really cool sight to see. Worst. We suffered our second equipment failure of the year. Raya. Dear Raya. My first ever hard drive failure. My poor Raya. Now, to give you guys some context, I keep all of the footage and photos from my travels. I have always done that. So I have a variety of external hard drives. Some are small portable ones that I take on my travels. Other ones are these big stay-at-home ones. Now, I came up with the naming system a while ago, but essentially all of my hard drives are named after Greek gods. We have Poseidon and Ares and Hera and Eos and Hades and Helios, and Raya just decided to die one day. We were transferring footage onto her and she just died. So we took her into the shop, and unfortunately there was nothing to be done about Raya, because Raya sounds like that. Now, in the report that we got back from the repair shop that couldn't repair Raya, there was extensive physical damage to the disc platter. Either way, we lost a whole bunch of our 2017 raw footage. It might not be like a big deal to you guys, but like, it's a pretty big deal to me. I was pretty upset about it, to be honest. This is like, I don't know, I treat my footage, it's just like, it's like your life. It's a part of my life and my work and my career. It's just everything. It's all our hard work. So we decided it was time to upgrade our storage solution and invest in a NAS. This was another very expensive equipment purchase that we ended up making this year, but it is something that we discussed like switching to for a while now. It is a network attached storage, for those that don't know, and it is a like big black box that holds various hard drives where they have a redundancy built in. So essentially, if one of those hard drives fails, you have backups in the other 3 hard drives. So when you have another Raya situation, you would have backups. RIP Raya. I'd say you were good to us, but you know. Best! So for our summer travels this year, we just so happened to plan our road trip that was going from San Diego to San Francisco to coincide with the weekend of San Francisco Pride. Now, I've never actually taken part in a Pride Parade. I've never even attended a Pride Parade before, so this was technically my first Pride Parade. And it was one of the best and one of the biggest in the world. So, wow, crazy seeing like all of these streets in San Francisco, one of like the biggest cities in the US, all shut down and blocked off. We slightly underestimated how long the parade was. So when we got there, we had like front row seats, and we were talking to this girl and her mom beside us, and we asked her how long the parade had been, because they had seen it before, and they're like, oh, like an hour and a half-ish. Well, it's not an hour and a half. It was a lot longer. We actually didn't even stay for the whole parade because we started getting really hungry and we wanted to go find food. But we were there for like, I want to say almost 3 hours watching it. Wasn't it? It was like almost 3 hours. Yeah, it was a while. Yeah, and as far as like crowds and stuff, honestly, it wasn't really even that bad for like driving. I mean, we walked most places. We were driving around all weekend because we were doing like our Instagram spots around San Francisco. We really didn't have that much issues with traffic. I think because there's so much like, don't drive, oh my gosh, avoid the roads, craziness for Pride, that like people weren't driving, they were walking, which is still the best way to get around, I think, for the actual like parade, because they do block off a lot of roads. So we weren't driving on the parade day, but all the other days. Worst. I don't know what it is about this year, but we ended up missing a lot of flights, several different connecting flights. Now, because of where we live, we end up having quite a few connecting flights to get anywhere in the world. And generally we are pretty lucky, although we end up running through the airport quite a bit. Like, more often than not, we are running through the airport trying to catch our connecting flight. There were multiple like overnights that we had to stay in hotels, that we were put up in hotels, or had to purchase our own hotels. Actually, I think all of them we had to end up purchasing our own hotels. Now, none of these were actually our fault, surprisingly. Weather, or the plane was canceled. Ones where there were crew issues, so like they couldn't get the crew, or it was delayed earlier and then they needed to swap out a new crew, or there just was a lot of them this year. And it's not even like missing the flight, which in and of itself is kind of a hassle. It's the fact that when you have a lot of like connecting flights, it just messes up all the rest of them. And now this last one isn't actually good or bad, it's just kind of both. It is a big thing that has happened this year that took up a lot of our time, and the reason why we didn't actually do any big travels this year. Like, this was a very quiet year of travels because, well, I built a house and I moved in it, which is kind of crazy. So not only did the actual build process involve a lot of decision making and a lot of choices, we had to go back and forth to check up on things and make decisions on the fly. So it's not like you make all the decisions when you're building a house all in one go. You keep making them and then you change your mind because something else comes up and this comes up. And then there's a lot of budget restraints, like trying to keep things into budget, which we did not stick to budget. So there went all of the travels into a house, which I love, and I'm so happy that we're here. And this is why it's not a best or worst, it's just a house. I am so happy to have moved here. So we moved in the end of summer, and that took a whole lot of work. As you know, moving is such an intense process. There's a lot involved, and then we wanted to decorate and get new things and organize that. So 2020 is gonna be wild, guys. I think you guys are gonna be really excited about the new direction we take this channel in, the new types of videos that we end up doing, and I'm really excited for 2020. Now, guys and gals, I wanna know what some of your best and or worst travel moments of 2019 were. Let me know down below in the comments. I love reading them. I love seeing what you guys got up to, the good moments and bad moments, because yeah, that's travel, that's life. So make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you next decade. Yeah, man. Next decade. Another decade. Hey, Nadine, let's do this. You know, let's do it. Just do it all.